The box in the back of your closet, the one you inherited from your mother or your grandmother, quietly holds 10 kinds of objects that appraisers pay real money for. Most of it is worth $50 to $300. But one or two pieces in a box like yours have brought four figures, five figures, and in one televised case, $200,000 for a necklace missing two of its pearls. Stay for number one, because it is the piece almost every American woman over 60 already owns, and almost nobody looks at it correctly. Let's see if you have it. Here is the honest picture nobody wants to say out loud. A typical American 1950s to 1970s jewelry box holds one gold wedding band, a few gold-filled chains most pawn shops will not touch, a strand of pearls, several signed costume pieces, and a wristwatch on a gold-filled case. Honestly appraised, that box runs $200 to $800. I won't pretend otherwise. The reason you are watching is not the box, it is the exception inside the box. One signed clasp, one carved bangle, one old cut diamond, one hard stone cameo can quietly shift a $200 box into a $20,000 box. And it happens to women who are neither careless nor uninformed. They just were never taught to look. Now somebody has taught you, number 10, the signed costume brooch, the gold tone flower pin with milky rhinestones, sitting sideways in the tray, missing a stone or two. 9 out of 10 women file it straight under junk. And honestly, I do not blame them one bit. But here is what they do not teach you. Turn it over, look at the pin catch, the back plate, the underside of the drop. If you see the word Trifari or Corot or Weiss or Boucher engraved into the metal, you are not holding costume. You are holding an American design house that quietly went out of business decades ago and is now collected. A Trifari Jelly Belly sailfish brooch sold at Greenwich auctions for $350. Most signed brooches sit between $70 and $500. Melted for scrap, the same piece brings perhaps $2 in base metal. Tonight, take every brooch out of the tray, flip it, and read the pin side with a magnifying glass. Trifari's own motto was, "If it is not signed, it is not Trifari." Number 9. Number 9, the rosary. Almost every American Catholic grandmother left one, and almost every family shoved it in the bottom drawer because it felt disrespectful to sell and useless to wear. I understand that entirely. But here is what nobody tells the family. Pick up the crucifix. Then pick up the center medallion, the small metal disc between the beads. If either one is stamped Creed Sterling or Chapel Sterling, you are not holding a keepsake, you are holding a collector piece from two of the most sought-after American Catholic makers between 1910 and 1940. A filigree Creed Sterling rosary with garnet beads sits in the $500 to $900 tier on Ruby Lane right now. Melted for silver alone, that same rosary brings perhaps 20. Tonight, wipe the crucifix and the center medallion with a soft cotton cloth and read the metal with a magnifying glass in good light. The stamp is tiny and lives near the loop where the crucifix meets the chain. Number 8. Number 8, the cameo brooch. The oval carving of a woman's profile, cream on peach, in a gilt frame, probably pinned to a dress in a wedding photo on your mantle. You see something Victorian and dated and you set it back down. But here is the human detail that makes this one matter. There are two kinds of cameo, and the difference is not the picture, it is the material. A shell cameo carved from conch shell is warm and light in your hand, and the back curves like the inside of the shell it came from. A hardstone cameo carved from agate or sardonyx or onyx is cold and noticeably heavy, and under a loop shows banded layers of coloured stone. Shell cameos average about $150 at auction. Hardstone cameos on one Estée dibs average $2,900, top out at $142,000, and one Victorian Etruscan Revival hardstone locket sold on eBay for about $4,000. Same picture, 20 times the price. The test is your hand. Cold and heavy is money. Warm and light is memory. Number 7, the pocket watch chain. The gold-coloured link chain with a small T-bar or fob, probably your grandfather's, coiled in a matchbox at the back of the drawer. 90% of families see the colour of gold, wear it once for a costume party and leave it forever. Here is what they do not teach you. Read the back of the T-bar under a loop. If you see the stamp 12012 KGF, that chain is gold-filled, not solid, and the honest math is roughly 2.5% pure gold by weight. Refiners pay 80 to 85% of that. Pawn shops will not take it at all. But here is where family ignorance becomes genuinely expensive. If the stamp reads 14K or 18K, with no fraction in front of it, you are holding a solid gold Victorian book chain and a 20-inch 14K book chain collar sold on 1ST Dibs for $4,595. Melted for scrap, the same chain brings a third of that. Tonight, weigh it on a kitchen scale, then read the stamp on the T-bar. Number 6. Number 6, the Mourning brooch. The black brooch, sometimes engraved in memory of, sometimes with a small woven lock of hair sealed under glass. Most heirs find this, 1, feel a chill and put it back. I do not blame anyone for that, but here is what the auction record says. Real Whitby jet, the fossilised wood the Victorians carved for mourning, is warm and lightweight, and rubbed against unglazed porcelain it leaves a brown streak. French jet, which is really black glass, is cold and heavy and leaves a white streak. Whitby jet brooches at auction typically bring $75 to $300. Gold set Whitby jet with an inscription and intact hairwork has cleared $2,000 at auction. Tonight, rub the piece on the rough back of a ceramic mug. Brown is money. White is glass. Number 5 is almost here. But before we get there, there is something most people never realise about the pieces sitting in a jewellery box like yours. Some of the most valuable pieces in an inherited box do not look expensive at all. They look old-fashioned or plain or plated or dated, and they get sold at estate sales for $40, while a woman in Ohio watches the same bracelet appear online 3 weeks later for $4,200. The truth is, appearance has almost nothing to do with what a piece is worth. What matters is the clasp mark, the carat stamp, the pin catch signature, the weight in your hand, the cut of the stone, and half a dozen quiet details most families never think to check. That is exactly why I put together the Appraiser's Playbook. Inside, I walk through the hallmarks, the maker's marks, the clasp signatures, the stone-cut giveaways, and the honest payout math a professional uses in the first 30 seconds of holding a piece. So you can recognise what you have before somebody across an estate sale table decides for you. Plain English, one guide, pulls up on your phone next to the box tonight. Link below and the QR code is on your screen. Now, let's get back to the rankings. Number 5, the Art Deco filigree ring. The delicate white metal ring with a tiny die-stamped lace pattern along the shoulders and a small blue or clear stone in the centre, probably your grandmother's engagement ring, set aside because it looks small next to what your daughters wear. Here is what they do not teach you. Turn the ring over and read the inside of the band. If you see 10,000, 14,000, the word platinum or the numbers 900 or 950, the metal alone is worth real money. A tricolour 10,000 white gold filigree ring with a synthetic sapphire is a common grandma era piece, and eBay bands sit under 450, between 450 and 680, and above 680 depending on condition. Solid platinum and diamond deco examples at Lang Antiques reach into the thousands. Here is the part nobody tells the family. Any deco ring in a platinum setting almost exclusively dates between 1900–1940, and platinum in that period was cheaper than gold, which is why it was used lavishly and why so much of it is still sitting in drawers unrecognised. Tonight, read the inside of every ring band under a magnifier. Number 4. Number 4, the engagement ring with the funny-looking diamond. The one that looks slightly dull to a modern eye, with a taller crown and a smaller flat top than the diamonds your daughters wear. 9 out of 10 heirs compare it to a brilliant cut ring from a mall jeweller and assume the stone is inferior. Here is what a specialist will tell you privately. That diamond is an old mine cut or an old European cut. Both were shaped entirely by hand between the early 1700s and 1930, and both stopped being produced almost a century ago. Old mine-cut diamonds on 1ST Dibs range from $110 to $1.7 million, and the average is $6,284. A single 2.94 carat old European cut auction estimate opened between $5,000 and $8,000, and retail sold ranges reach $32,000. Because no jeweler in the world cuts these anymore, a decent stone routinely brings a premium over a modern brilliant of equal weight. Tonight, look through a loop. If the top of the stone is small, the bottom facet is a visible flat window, and the outline is a soft cushion rather than a perfect round, you may very well be holding a hand-cut diamond older than most people alive. Number three, the lady's wristwatch. The small gold tone Hamilton or Bulova or Omega. On the vanity, the one nobody has wound in 20 years. Most families see the dead battery and set it aside as a keepsake. Here is what nobody tells them. Flip the watch and read the back of the case. If the stamp says 1/2012,000 GF, the case is gold filled and the watch is worth $100 to $200 honestly. If the stamp says 14,000 or 18,000 with no fraction, the same watch face is on a solid gold case, and a solid gold vintage Hamilton starts around 3,500. One platinum and diamond lady's Bulova sold at auction for $8,785. The difference between the $200 watch and the $8,700 watch is one stamp on the back plate. Tonight, unclip the strap, turn the watch face down, and read the case back under a loop. Number two, the chunky orange or red plastic bangle. The one your grandmother wore in a 1940s photograph. The one that looks like cheap costume plastic on top of the tray. Every family assumes plastic is plastic, and I do not blame them one bit. But here is the human detail that makes this one matter. Bakelite was the first fully man-made plastic, and by the 1940s it was being carved by hand into cuffs that Doyle in New York now sells at auction. One carved bakelite cuff with a green on orange crosshatch inlay walked into Doyle with an $800 estimate and hammered down at $6,000. Plain single colour bangles sell for $20 to $40. Wide carved pieces bring several hundred to over $1,000. Tonight, run the bangle under hot tap water for 30 seconds, then lift it to your nose. Real bakelite gives off a sharp whiff of formaldehyde, the same smell as an old telephone handset. Then rub a Q-tip with a little semi-chrome polish across a hidden spot on the inside. If the cotton turns yellow-brown, you are holding bakelite. If it stays white, modern plastic. Number one is the piece almost every American woman over 60 already owns, and almost nobody looks at it correctly. Number one, the strand of pearls. The single strand of white pearls in the flat velvet case at the bottom of the box, the one your grandmother or your mother was given for a wedding or a graduation and wore 3 times in her life. I would guess more than half of the women watching right now have this exact object in the house. Here is what nobody teaches the family. 90% of inherited American pearl strands are unbranded Japanese cultured, and honestly, the resale on those is close to nothing. I refuse to inflate this. Second-hand cultured pearls barely move at auction. But there is one exception, and it lives on the clasp. Not on the pearls, on the clasp. Pick up the strand tonight and turn the clasp toward a lamp. If you see the letter M engraved inside a small oyster shell outline, or the name Mikimoto spelled along the edge of the clasp with a small carat stamp beside it, you are not holding a keepsake. You are holding the one Japanese house whose pearls quietly hold their value on the secondary market. Vintage Mikimoto strands on 1ST dibs range from $695 to $28,000, and the average sits at $3,000. An 18-inch AA quality Akoya strand runs about $1,000, AAA runs $2,000 and up. On the Antiques Roadshow, a woman brought in her grandmother-in-law's pearl and diamond necklace missing 2 of its pearls, and was told the clasp was signed Paulding Farnham for Tiffany. It was appraised at $200,000, $200,000 for a necklace the family had been carrying around in a Ziploc bag because 2 pearls were gone. That necklace is not the one in your box, but the lesson runs through every item on this list. Look at the clasp, look at the stamp, weigh it in your hand. That is 90% of what an appraiser does in the first 30 seconds of holding a piece. And here is the sentence I most want you to remember tonight, because it is the single most expensive rule in this business. Heirs who sell fastest get the least. Pawn shops pay 20 to 55% of melt, local buyers pay 40 to 70, Online refiners pay 80 to 90. Auction houses take a 30% cut but hand you the checkbook of two people fighting each other for a signed piece. The clasp on the pearls, the stamp on the ring, the signature on the brooch, those are the difference between $40 and $4,200. So before you clear out a single drawer, before you sell a single strand, before you accept the first cash offer at the estate sale, do three things: turn every piece over, read every mark, weigh it in your hand. If one piece in this video made you think of something sitting in the box in the back of your closet, that reaction is worth following up on. Not because you have to sell anything, because knowing what you have quietly beats not knowing every single time. If this helped, tap the like button so more women who inherited a box like yours can find it. Subscribe if you want to look through the rest of the box with me, item by item, over the next few videos. And leave a comment telling me which piece on this list you own and who it came from. I read every single one. Do not sell before you check.